Today we're making some incredible, budget-friendly 15-minute meals that anyone can make. So each of the meals that we're going to be making today comes out to under €2 per serving, which for reference at the time of filming is about $2.20 per serving. And each of the meals is also student friendly. That was our intention. So that means you don't need any fancy equipment to make these meals. They're incredibly simple. And many thanks as well to Skillshare for partnering with us on today's video. We're going to chat more about them at the end. For now, let's get started. For the first recipe, we're making a nourishing Harissa spiced butter bean dish that's saucy, seductive, and full of so many incredible flavors. So we're gonna start by adding some olive oil to a large pan. And while that's heating up, we're gonna slice a small red onion and we'll chop up a bell pepper. Any color is fine. We're then gonna add this all to the pan along with a crushed clove of garlic, and then we're gonna let this cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. While that's cooking, we're gonna cut in half about 10 cherry tomatoes, but you could add more if you'd prefer it saucier. Once we've added the tomatoes to the pan, we're gonna also add in 1.5 cups of cooked butter beans and 2 tablespoons of harissa. I love using sauces like this because with a single scoop, you add so much flavor to the dish, but just a heads up that harissa is quite spicy, so if you're not a fan of heat, add less. You can always add a bit more later. Then we're gonna cook this all for another 3 to 4 minutes. Meanwhile, we can toast our pita bread. You can use a toaster and it's quicker that way, that's perfectly fine. I just prefer it when it's toasted on the stove with a touch of oil and a sprinkle of za'atar for more flavor, but this is definitely optional. While our pitas toast, we're gonna lather some creamy coconut yogurt onto the base of a couple of bowls. And then returning to the stove, once the tomatoes have softened, we're gonna season it with some salt and pepper, and then we're gonna squeeze over some lemon juice. While the dish is still hot, we're gonna pile the harissa spiced beans over top of the bed of coconut yogurt. You can add some optional avocado slices on top too if you'd like, and your meal is ready to enjoy. Tear up some of that warm toasted pita to scoop up the saucy beans and creamy coconut yogurt with. It's a journey through mouth-watering flavors, this dish, and it comes together so quickly. The recipe makes 2 servings in total, and the grand total per serving is just €1.98. If you also want to include the optional avocado and za'atar spice, then the total comes to €2.29 per serving. Oh, so good. If your childhood was anything like mine, egg salad sandwiches were on regular rotation for school lunches, and today we're making a veganized version of the classic sandwich recipe. We'll first start out with a 325-gram block of extra firm tofu that we're gonna first press and drain, and then we're gonna chop it up into very small pieces. Once we've added the tofu to a large bowl, we're also gonna add in half of a cup of vegan mayo, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh chives, 1.5 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, half of a teaspoon of curry powder, 1/4 teaspoon each of black pepper and turmeric for its beautiful golden color, and finally kala namak, and then we're gonna mix this all together. If you are looking to save some bucks, I'd actually recommend getting your tofu and your spices from your local Asian supermarket. They tend to be a lot more affordable there. And that's actually also where we get our kala namak, which is also known as black salt, and that's what gives this dish its characteristic eggy smell and taste. And that's pretty much it. We didn't even need to cook anything. All we did was mix some ingredients in a bowl, and now we can already assemble our sandwiches. I like to add a bit of lettuce to my bread first, along with some cucumber for a bit of crunch, and then we can follow this up with a generous layer of our tofu egg salad filling. My favorite thing about eating these sandwiches growing up was that the saucy filling was always served on a super soft and fluffy bread. The texture is just so satisfying. So this recipe makes enough for 3 sandwiches altogether, and that makes the total price per serving come out to just 83 cents. I think this is our most budget meal recipe to date. For this last recipe, we're making a slurp-worthy instant Thai curry noodle soup. So all we're gonna be doing for this recipe is just a little bit of prepping. We're actually not doing any cooking at all, so it's really easy. And we're only gonna be making enough for a single serving, but this is a brilliant recipe to meal prep. So if you do wanna make more, we have a scaling feature on our website, so be sure to check that out. So we're gonna start with cutting up just over 100-gram block of tofu into small little cubes, and then we're gonna add it to a bowl. To the same bowl, we're gonna add 1/4 cup of coconut cream. This is the thicker part that you get from the top of a can of coconut milk. But if you find that your coconut milk is smooth and it doesn't have the thicker part, don't worry about it, just add the coconut milk as is, and that's perfectly fine. Then we're also gonna add in a tablespoon of vegan Thai curry paste. We're using green curry paste, but red or yellow curry paste works equally well. And then finally, we'll add in a crushed clove of garlic. Once we've gently mixed everything together, we're then gonna add this all to a 1 liter size mason jar. Next, we're gonna super thinly slice up some cabbage to add as well, along with some shredded carrot and just 1/4 of a bell pepper that's been thinly sliced. And some roughly chopped spinach can go in as well. This is a super versatile recipe, by the way, so even though we've used 4 different vegetables, you definitely don't have to. We just did it because it's colorful, so if you're missing any one of them, don't worry about it, and feel free to substitute it out for another veggie that you do have instead. We're then gonna crush in a single vegetable bouillon cube, and we'll add in about 50 grams of vermicelli noodles. And then that's it. We can just pop the lid onto it and then we can already store it in the fridge like this. And the reason this is such a good recipe to meal prep is that the longer that tofu sits in the marinade, the more flavorful it becomes. And whenever you are ready to eat it, you're just gonna add 2 cups of boiling water into the container, cover it again, and then let it sit for a few minutes so that the noodles and veggies soften. If you've added the ingredients to a bowl instead, because you want to enjoy it right away, just pour the boiling water over top of it and cover it with a plate to let it steep. Once the noodles have softened, you're already ready to dig into it. And the inspiration for this recipe actually came from those instant noodle cups, but we wanted to make our own homemade and wholesome version of it. The total cost per serving for this recipe is just €1.93. It doesn't require any stove or oven to make, and it's an incredible recipe to grab with you and take with you on the go. And it comes together in just 15 minutes. And a warm thanks again to Skillshare for partnering with us on today's video. If you appreciate kind of quick and speedy meals like this, maybe you're also somebody who likes to optimize your time outside of the kitchen as well. So I actually wanted to share a productivity masterclass that I recently took on Skillshare, and it's by Ali Abdal. You might know about him from his amazing YouTube videos, but in this Skillshare class, he takes all of this amazing productivity knowledge and he condenses it and shares it in one centralized place. I definitely recommend checking it out. So Skillshare, just to give you some background, is this online learning community, and they have thousands of inspiring and creative classes that are specifically curated for learning. So it also means that while you're taking these classes, you're not going to be interrupted with any ads. You can just kind of get right into the creative flow of things. And so whether you're just starting out or if you're professional, there's something in there for everybody. You can learn anything from like photography and filming all the way to design and illustration and painting. So if you'd like to join a community of fellow creatives, Skillshare is actually offering the first 1,000 of you to use the code PICKUPLIMES, a 1-month free trial. So be sure to check that out. I'll actually leave a link for you in the description box below too to make it a bit easier. And in the description box, it's also where you can find a full breakdown to all of the recipes that were shared today. But I think that's it for today, friends. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Always means a lot. And Pick Up Limes signing off. We'll see you in the next video. Okay, I'm strategically gonna, what am I saying? What am I saying? I'm so sleepy. What am I saying? And that's also where we get our kala namak, which is also known as black salt, which is what gives this dish its characteristic. You can hear this, right? This is why we have to pause our filming, because that's making way too much noise. The coconut, but if your coconut milk is actually, okay, hold on.